The Bloody Roasting Podcast with Mikey Motion.
Know how it is back in the mix. Turn it up, turn it up.
So, hello guys, welcome back to Bloody Roasting Podcast with myself, Mikey Motion. This is episode 4. The episodes are coming thick and fast. On this episode, it's a very special one. I'm excited because I've got a guy in here. He's one of my good pals. He's a legend. He, amongst many other things, he's a Glasgow legend. He's a legend in hardcore dance music. It's William Daniel.
Thanks so much, Mikey. Your fiver's in the post, mate. Your fiver's in the post for the nice words, the kind words.
Well, mate, it's exciting to have you on. Obviously, we've known each other for a long, long time, but I'm sure this is going to be a good episode because people want to hear your stories. People want to hear how you got into it, and there's a lot of nostalgic talk I think will be in this episode.
Aye, definitely, Mikey. I think I'm trying to remember actually the first time I met you. I think it was at an Archaeos night we done with All Twisted. Was it a Twisted and Brainfire?
Aye.
I think you done the round room, I'm sure, and I used to do the Sky Bar up there playing trance because obviously in the round room it was just mad hardcore.
Aye.
And even though I loved that stuff, it wasn't stuff I was playing back in the early 2000s.
Yep.
So I always remember, man, and I even remember going further back, which we'll probably get into as well, like your pirate radio days. Used to listen to that back in the early 2000s as well. So got really loads to talk about, mate. So I'm really looking forward to it.
Brilliant, mate. So let's just go back a wee bit and where did you grow up?
I've actually moved a bit. I'm not a gypsy or anything, so don't worry about that. But no, originally I was from the north of the city, so not the best areas. Used to stay in Lamb Hill, then stayed in other places as well. But originally, my mum's from Edinburgh and stuff, so went to primary school in Edinburgh, and then came back through here and done high school through here. So I played in I didn't play in Hillhead, obviously. I went to Hillhead High School, so I done that and met quite a lot of people through the scene as well. Quite famous guys that were from my school that went on to DJ was guys like Jack Master, and obviously the wee guy Callum Spencer, who I was good friends with as well. So they do more stuff on the more cooler like sub-clubby type techno tip and housey tip. So obviously Jack Master's renowned and done really well through working in rubber dub and that. So there's been quite a lot of people who went to our school that's went on and done a lot of things as well. So it's been good. It was a good place to go to school and good musical background as well.
Brilliant. So for an early age, were you into music
I would say probably in the mid 90s I wasn't really into a lot of hardcore stuff. I was more into bandy music, but I think the first two tunes I really remember that really sparked my interest in music was Die Witness Master Plan. I remember that was on the radio quite a lot. I think that was 1996, and that was also at the time that Robert Miles' Children was out as well. So I always remember them being out, and they were two of the first tunes I always remember hearing and being God, this music's amazing. I really need to find out and figure out what more of this is about. Two
big tunes for two different kind of backgrounds. Do you know what I mean? Robert Miles, where was he? Is he British? No,
no. I think if I remember rightly, he's Italian. So he was, but I remember that was before trance was kind of called trance. So I think they used to call it Dream House. It was a lot of stuff like that. So it was a lot of Euro house and a Euro dance stuff for the early 90s and the mid 90s. So your guys like Jam and Spoon and that. I think Robert Miles was really the big one that Children really put it into the mainstream and really progressed it. So a lot of respect for him.
Were you into music in school and that? Did you ever play any instruments or anything like that? Or were you a musical guy?
I used to play the keyboard in school and stuff, but we had a music teacher in our school called Mr. Henderson, and I was a really, really cool, really, really good guy. But for me, music didn't really spark my interest because it was more you were learning to play the recorder and you were learning to play sheet music, so it wasn't any dance music stuff. And a lot of the girls that went to music in our school as well, they were all not really pretentious, but I think they were a wee bit up their own arse, and they kind of looked down on the guys and that
playing
as well.
The cello.
Aye, that's it. Play the cello, and the flute. Obviously, American Pie and all that. So it was just like that. And I think one time at band camp indeed. But for me, it was it didn't really spark my interest. I was more into the DJing side of DJ side of stuff at an early age, and I think we had a youth club where I was from at the time, up Lamb Hill. I think it was Churnside, and that was the first time I ever seen like people play like a set of decks. I think it was a set of like Citronic belt drives, and like guys were playing happy hardcore, but I was really young at the time, so we used to just go in because the music was quite fast and aggressive, so didn't really know what it was all about, but these guys absolutely loved it. So that was like my first experience seeing people.
Can you see for then, did you see the guys playing the decks and think, I want a slice of that action, or was it as early as that, or was it a bit later?
It was a bit later than that, actually. I used to pal about with one of my good friends. He's Ross Donnelly. Hope he doesn't mind me mentioning his name, but we used to pal about there, and his big brother was really right into like music, and he had a set of decks, so he used to listen to like was a mix in particular. I think it was Jeff Mills Live at the Liquid Rooms. Used to listen to that religiously, and even though that was more techno and stuff, it wasn't stuff we were into. We were just like, we listened to it, we were like, this is like music for another world. So whenever his big brother used to like go out to like raves and stuff, he used to like sneak into his room and play his decks. So I think we actually like trashed a few of his styluses, wrecked a few of his records, and I think so we got into a bit of trouble for that, like off his big brother and stuff. But he used to bring back like res tapes and stuff, and the usual that a lot of youngsters I'm sure were into, and
the older ones, big cousins and stuff like that.
Big cousins, and it was like guys like Bass Generator, like Hixie, Lenny D, who else was like a big one, Plastic Man. It was a big varied thing with music for these tapes, and you always wish we were a bit older to go to resis, but obviously we weren't at that time, a bit like yourself, Mikey. So that's like one of my regrets that I always have.
What age are you?
What age am I? 38.
38, right. So you're just a year older than me. What are you coming up for 39 soon?
Yeah.
Aye, right. So you're maybe about a year and a bit older than me. So obviously you saw these guys playing the decks and all that, and so did you have decks when you were in school, or was it when you left? Or
it was kind of like in high school that I had decks. I used to go to 23rd Precinct as a punter, so as a wee guy I used to actually go to our Chaos Unders quite a lot. So our Chaos Unders for me was like my kind of gateway into like music. So used to see guys like Billy Reid, Paul Novell, and guys like that were just like my absolute heroes at the time. So for me, it was like listening to that music. Like I always remember hearing Billy Reid like play like Raver Baby and like all the queued up stuff like Disco Land, the Mixed Dreams EP, stuff like that. Attention Angels, Happy Men, Love Is You. And I was just like that. This music is just amazing. A big shout out to Dario as well, and also Cammy. Just the skills of these guys back in the day as well were just phenomenal. They were my absolute heroes, and I always remember going into 23rd Precinct and absolutely harassing Billy Reid for all the tunes that he played on a Saturday. And he was like that to me, they've just been released or they've just been signed. They've not been released yet. I've just signed them, so I'm playing them on white labels. And what a lot of people probably don't realise about music now is back in the vinyl days, like people would have tunes for like 6 to 8 months before, and it wouldn't be released, and you'd be waiting ages for a tune, which I think is something that's lost these days in digital music.
It's like the want and the need for a tune. You love it, you want it so much, and it's like makes it rare. You know what I mean? It makes it like, I need to get this, and but nowadays it's a tune's made and it's just like released. You can listen to it straight away, which is good as well, I suppose. But for the DJ, you're losing a wee bit of magic here, I think.
I think as well. For me, it's like a lot of music nowadays is so throwaway because you've not got that tangibility, like hunting down a record. For me, back in the day, which still gives me a buzz because I still buy a lot of vinyl these days, is you didn't have the internet back in those days, so if you were listening to tunes on a tape, I mean, I've got tunes in there that like I was hunting for, like in a couple of years, that I only ever heard like guys like Hixie play or Brisk or like Scott Brown or even Billy Reid. And then it's just that buzz, as you know, Mikey, when you go into a record shop and you finally find that gem and you're like, this is amazing. But then like 2 months later or 2 weeks later, you're like, God, man, it's like I'm sick of the tune now. But it's just the chase, the thrill of the chase is better than getting the tune.
It was so fucking good. Like you said, when we were doing that in the early days, the internet wasn't out yet, and you heard a tune on a tape and that was it, and you were asking people what's the tune that goes like dun, 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 I don't know, and it took ages to get it, and when you finally hunted it down, the feeling you just no beat that. It's fucking brilliant.
100%, man. It's like, and that's a thing I miss a lot as well, Mikey. I think digital music these days is really, really soulless. I miss going to record shops, meeting people like yourself, like-minded guys, and it was kind of like a wee community we had back in the days.
It was a lifestyle, mate.
It was a lifestyle. Like I remember, like being at school, like saving up like your bus money and like your dinner money, so you'd be able to afford like 2 records.
Aye.
Like, I'd be able to afford like 2 UK records, or basically I'd be able to afford 1 import.
Aye.
Like when you're a wee guy, like £10 a week's like a lot
Aye,
of
it's a
money. You know
lot,
what I mean? Aye.
Especially back then or not, was a lot of money.
Exactly, and it was so frustrating as well because there was so many good tunes coming out, and you had to pick that one nailer,
Aye.
that one nailer of a tune.
Aye.
But then you see the wee rich kid come in that, well, obviously his mum and dad just gave him like loads of money, and you're like, that man, he's buying like 10 records, and you're like,
that
man,
bastard.
you're just a wee dick.
Aye,
That's it,
definitely.
aye.
Aye, that's what it was. It was like, for me, it was pocket money in a paper run, saving up that money, and going into 23rd Precinct, HMV, and just digging and finding things. And a lot of the times I'd be with my pals, and you'd see something, and you'd be like, I'm hiding that for them.
Oh, aye.
So they don't even get it.
Aye,
I'm not even getting any money today. I'm hiding that. Know what I mean?
Aye.
I've done that a couple of times, but it was just magic. So can you remember the day you got your first set of decks?
I can actually. It was, what was the day I got it? It was when I was just in first year, I think it was. So it was like really, really early, and I remember like it was a really shitty set of belt drives I got. It wasn't like quite a new Mark DJ in a box, but it was like something similar back then.
But worse.
Aye, it was worse, and I remember like just practicing on them for so long, like trying to get mixes in, and it was so frustrating because you know, with like belt drives, it's like they're all over the place.
Touch
man.
it once and it stops.
Oh, aye, touch it once, man. It's like mixing on a broken washing machine at times, man. And you're just sitting there, you're just trying that time to get that on. And then I always remember like going to my mate's house, and he had a set of Technics 1210s, and it was just like night and day.
Aye.
Like I had
You
one
just
go on
wanted
them.
them.
Aye, and I was like that. I was sold. I was like, I just need to save up for so long. And I was actually working in a wee grocer's shop that my dad run at the time, and he was paying me like just ridiculous like family wages. So I was like, I just saved up for so long for that. And I think Techniques back in the day then, I think they were about 325 quid for a brand new set.
Were they?
Aye, that was like each. Aye,
Oh,
aye, so it was each.
for
Aye,
one,
so it was
aye.
like 650. And I always remember like going down to like RS Sound and Light, know how a rubber dub was?
Yep.
Aye, down there. And I remember going in and getting a set, and then like I had like what did I save up for as well? I think it was an Intimidation blue mixer. Do you remember them? Aye.
Who made that?
I don't know who Intimidation was back in the day. It was that long ago, but I remember it was a mixer that had like kill switches on it.
Aye.
That's how far back we're going. Aye, and you're like that. Kill switches were amazing, and it was just amazing times, man. And then I remember just the buzz of like going back down to buying records again, and then having a decent set of decks, and then it was just like just having that buzz of like practicing like to 6 to 8 hours a day.
Aye.
Just that was all
Just
you
on
done.
them
You were
all the
just
time.
obsessed.
Before
Aye.
school, after school.
Aye, exactly.
I remember the first mixer I got with kill switches on it. I was buzzing. I thought I was mental. I thought I was like, yes, here, I'm a DJ now.
Aye,
And it was a
exactly.
Gemini one. It was like a wee square
Oh, was
mixer.
that 626?
Aye, to be free on either side.
Aye. I think that was a Gemini 626, if
Aye.
I remember rightly. A big shout out to my friend Chris as well. We went to school together. He was actually one of the first guys that had a pair of Vestax PDXs. Do you remember they had the straight tone on?
Aye,
And
that's
they were
right.
like, and they called them the Techniques colours, but they were never as good as
No.
Techniques 1210s.
Aye.
But the pitch on them, I think they had digital pitch as well, if I remember. And like, I had a shot of them as well. And I think that
But
was
like big tanks,
Aye,
man.
they were like big
Aye.
tanks, aye. And we used to always like, we were right into hardcore back then as well. And I always remember like listening to the Force and Styles Essential Mix on Radio 1,
Yep.
which I believe is still the only hardcore Essential Mix.
That's-
On Radio 1, aye.
Right.
Aye, so that was like back when they done like Pretty Green Eyes and then like Paradise and Dreams,
96,
all the classic
97.
stuff, aye. And I remember we used to listen to that religiously as well, and try to buy all the records back then
Aye.
that was played on that Essential Mix.
Aye.
So
You
That's good.
used to get the CDs on the M8 magazines
Oh,
and
aye,
stuff
aye.
like that, the free happy hardcore
Aye.
mixes and stuff like that. They were always class. So when you got your decks, were you the first set of decks? Was it mainly happy hardcore you were into, or was it other styles of music at the time?
No, I was blinkered, like Mick, probably a bit like yourself. Like I was just hardcore or nothing else.
Aye.
Like I wouldn't listen to any other style of music. Like
Yep.
I think one of my first gateways into it, like going back as well, was like the old Bonkers CDs.
Yes.
Like I remember Bonkers 1 got passed about our school like an actual like dirty scud book. Like everybody had that.
Everybody
CD,
wanted
and
a shot at it, and
had that
everybody
tape.
taped it and copied
Aye.
it. Aye,
And
same.
then like people were having discussions like whose mix was better, like Hicksy's or Sharky's. But
Aye.
everybody loved Hicksy
Aye,
obviously
because it was
Hicksy's
more
were a bit
cheesy and
faster.
a bit faster.
And I think with Hicksy as well, a lot of us loved it because he scratched.
Oh,
so
aye.
that was the thing as well. Like,
The
I used to
scratching on
love,
it.
I used to love
Yeah.
Hicksy scratching, especially over Toy Town and
Oh, aye.
stuff like that. He was like one of my idols back in the
Aye.
day. So I. So it was just like the Bonkers Ones CD for me was like just the ultimate. I used to listen to that religiously.
Aye.
And when I first got a set of decks, when I got like some of these tunes, I used to try and copy Hicks's mixes.
Aye.
So I did. I
Aye.
think it was especially the mix into Sense of Summer on top and Hold Me Now.
Two good
It's
tunes.
something that's amazing.
Aye.
So it's brilliant.
That was good. That's what you done, wasn't it? You heard like the bigger DJs doing these mixes, and you just tried to recreate them. And then once you've done it, you're like, yeah, I can do that as well.
Oh no, 100%, man. And especially like the whole thing, like you, like I was mad into scratching back in the day. I don't do a lot of it nowadays because I don't think the style of music that I play kind of suits it.
Yep.
But for the hardcore stuff, it's like I remember like spending like 6 to 8 hours a day, like just like actually practicing scratching, getting that frustrated that I couldn't get certain patterns, that I'd chuck records off the walls just because you were that passionate about it.
Aye, you'd get stuck at a bit. I used to get like that. I would be scratching, and like, a few of my mates could scratch as well, and it's like we weren't competing, but you could tell who was getting a bit better, and then somebody else would be like, how'd you do that? But I can't do that. And then I would get to a point where I would be scratching, but it was the same patterns all the time, and you get fucking bored there.
Exactly.
Even though it sounds good to other people, but I hated it. And you're like, how the fuck can I get out of this, man?
Because you've
You
done
just need to keep practicing. You just need to keep practicing.
Because you've done the same routine hundreds of times, and you're hanging there. I think it's like if you're producing and you're making a tune as well, like you've heard that tune 1,000 times, and you've played it out, but to somebody that's heard it the first time, they're like, it's the best tune ever.
Exactly.
Which is like that. But it's big shout out to Joe Craig as well. I've got to give him a mention because he's a phenomenal DJ and a phenomenal scratcher.
Shout out to Joe.
Respect to him.
He's won 50% of the Itchy Bastards. That's me and Joe. Me and Joe used to be rivals as well. No rivals, but it was the competition, the New Breed competition in Glasgow and Archaeos, and out of all the people, he came first and I came second.
Was that in Betty's mayonnaise, wasn't it? Betty's, I think I was judging one of them back in the day, so I was, And I also missed the whole DJ competition thing as well, because that was good to bring a lot of people through as well.
It was brilliant, man. It was good. It was good for the club, and it was good for people to get a first chance, a first shot at DJing and stuff like that. So in school, were you like making tapes and all that and try to get a wee bit of name for yourself, and were you passing tapes about?
Not really, man, to be honest. I think in our school it was the first ever gig I done as well, like coming onto that as well. We didn't really make a lot of tapes because like we used to listen to guys like Mark Smith, Davey Forbes, and I think you used to go to the barras and buy all the bootleg tapes and that and stuff for events like the Judgment Day events and the Metro back in the day, and whatever other clubs. I think it was like the Foo Bar and some other big rave clubs, and then you obviously had like, I used to be obsessed with like the Dream State and Helter Skelter tape packs. Remember, you used to buy like the big 12, 24 packs of them.
Lively.
Vibes Lively. I think Vibes was like one of my heroes. Briss, Seduction, Pixie obviously. And there was a guy for Dream State, I don't know, Dreamscape, I think he was like a resident, he was called DJ Dance.
Right.
Don't know if you ever heard him. Like his tunes were amazing because he used to play a lot of the DJ Stompy tunes, and I used to love that, like Stompy Supreme, UFO, like Blowing Wings and all that sort of stuff. So I was more into that stuff. And so we never ever like really made tapes, but what we used to do is we actually had like a school disco that we put on, and it was because we were at Hull Head and it was at Oakfield Avenue at the time, so it was kind of like beside like Glasgow Academy, and there's like a big church there. I can't remember where it is, but you'll see it. It's like across the Kelvin Bridge Underground.
I think I know.
It's like a big massive church. So our school for some reason thought it'd be a good idea to put a school disco on in there. And I think like it was me and another guy like Matthew, like we had like 12 tens at the time, and like we said, we'll take a set of 12 tens down and some disco lights and that. So we went down to there, and it was like one of the end of year parties or something. And I think it was actually a girl's birthday party, a girl called Alicia Anderson who went to my school as well, like really, really sound lassie. And she's like, we can do it as like a joint birthday party thing. We were like, alright, no bother. So we actually went down and we done that, and like we were playing like trance stuff and like hardcore stuff. But when we were playing the trance stuff, like obviously all the kids like weren't really into it. They were kind of just vibing away. And then when the happy hardcore stuff came on at the end, I think it was a guy Raymond and Matthew at the time were DJing, and the hardcore stuff came on, playing stuff like I'm a Raver Baby, like Sons of Eliza and all that. And then the place just started erupting, and like all the teachers that were there were like, I can't play this music, it's too aggressive, it's mad. And I think one of them's like, will you please stop bouncing so aggressively, like one of the lassies of that. They're like, what are you talking about? It's a rave, know what I mean? And it ended up like pure carnage. So I don't know if the church ended up getting trashed or the toilets or whatever. But we never ever done an event back then again. So it was good fun. It was good fun.
Brilliant. Was that your first actual gig? Do you can remember?
That was my first like proper. I wouldn't say it was a proper gig.
But it was your first experience of playing.
It was my first experience of playing in front of a crowd. So it was, and then for then I just absolutely loved it. So,
so where did you go for then? Where did you go? I mean, the first gigs I started doing, I was like kind of 14, 15. It was just like birthday parties and that.
Aye.
But obviously, what were you? Did you have to wait until you were like 17 or 18 to start playing in clubs, or were you trying to do other stuff?
No, I was actually like playing in clubs when I was underage as well.
Right.
So it was kind of like when I started in 23rd Precinct, like I was pretty young as well. And then I remember my first ever proper gig in a club was with Joe Deacon.
Right.
He actually was doing a gig at the Metro, so he was. So this is like one story that I've never ever told anyone.
Oh, here we go. This is an exclusive.
An
A Wally
exclusive.
D exclusive.
Aye, so I was working in 23rd Precinct at the time, and there used to be a guy in 23rd Precinct that used to hang about called Dougie. So he was basically like our shop guy. So he never worked there, but he'd always come in, make sure we're all right, and he'd always like run to Greg's for us and stuff, and we were like super busy. So really appreciated the guy. He was like a sound guy as well. So Joe Deacon came in one day and he's like that, oh, I need somebody to cover for me for the first 30 minutes at the Metro. And he's like, ah. So if I was at the counter and he's like, I was like, what sort of stuff would you want me to play, Joe? And he's like, I'd want you to play like stuff like The Prodigy, like Learn How You'll Love, like Charlie, like all that stuff, like kind of ravey, like break stuff, but nothing too mental. It's like, well, I've got some of the records, I'll come down and play. So Joe Deacon's like, right, no bother. It's like the first half an hour because I've got another gig, so I need to come down to the Metro. And I was like, right, no bother. So obviously I couldn't drive at the time, and the guy was like to me, oh, I'll run you down. And I was like, all right, cool. So I went down at the Metro, never been before on that, and I always remember
legendary club.
Legendary club. Like heard so many tapes for it, like Hixie and Sharky's like Bonkers 2 mix for there was one of my favourites as well. So went into the Metro, and if you remember the Metro, they had like the DJ box, and then they had like stairs going up the back,
up on the side,
and like a mezzanine,
a bit at the top,
a mezzanine at the top. So I always remember like Dougie was wearing like this white shirt. So I'm playing in that, and like I'm ultra nervous because it's still on vinyl and that, like mixing away. So do my half an hour in that, and because like I'm too young, I get escorted at the club like afterwards, so I can only play because I've got a drinks license, obviously. So in the club and get escorted out. So I always remember Dougie's wearing this white shirt. So he's walking in front of me, and I'm walking behind him, and I'm like, Dougie, what's the like? You've got like red splatters on your shirt and that. And he's like that. Oh, don't worry about it. I'll tell you when we're outside. So we get outside to his car in that, and he's like that. Oh, just to let you know, while you're man, you were playing, I didn't want to make you nervous or that, but up in the mezzanine, like people started fighting.
Right.
Like they must have not liked your tunes or that because they were too slow, so they started scrapping. And he said that the bouncers ran up, but I've not noticed because I've been like so concentrating and stuff. And he said the bouncers ran up, and like one guy's like hooked the other guy, and when he's hooked him, like the blood's like full of, and he's standing behind me, so the blood's like splattered over his shirt, and I'm like, oh my god, man, that just as well I didn't see that because I would absolutely crumble with nerves. So that was it. So he never ever came back to a gig with me after that, so he didn't. So that was it.
That was good. What age were you then? 17?
I think 17 at the time. I can't remember. It was that long ago. So aye.
Is that one? Was that one of like the first big gigs you done?
That was the first ever time I played in like a proper nightclub. Was that? Aye.
Right, so how did you then, obviously we're talking about 23rd Precinct there, for people watching that they might not know what that is, 23rd Precinct was a legendary record shop in Glasgow city centre, and people who are watching this who, you know, bought records in there, they'll know.
Aye.
I miss it, right? So you worked there.
Aye.
That's the first time I met you.
Aye.
Tell me what 23rd Precinct meant to you.
As a shop, man, honestly, it's like the place that I'm forever grateful for. It put me on like such a right path for like changed my life completely, and I'm not just saying that because it's such a great place and a legendary place to work, but it did change so many people's lives. Just as a shop and a community, and like the guys I was working with, it just led to so many great opportunities for me, and I'm still thankful for it today. It was like the shop that I first went in and bought some of my first records out of, like because obviously, as I said previously, like going to see guys like Billy Reid at Archaeos, like he worked in 23rd, so he was like the only guy that I'd actually go in and see.
Right.
And then the reason why I did get a job in 23rd was because I would only ever go into 23rd to see Billy Reid, because probably like yourself, Mikey, we were young guys, and I think a lot what happened in 23rd as well is you had like record buyers that would only have their own specific section. So Billy Reid looked after the hardcore stuff, and I think guys like Chris Keegan and Billy Woods, a lot of other DJs at the time, I can't remember, I think Naeem used to do hip hop as well, and they're all like famous DJs in Glasgow, and I think because you were a wee guy and you weren't into the stuff that they were into, like I remember going into 23rd one time and like standing there and like they'd be reluctant to serve you, like no disrespect to the guys, but I can kind of see the reason why, because probably didn't have a clue about the music, and we were just wee guys and I think, no, they're only going to spend like a $5 they're going to waste like a couple hours of my time, which is probably a bad stereotype to have, because a lot of wee guys that I learned when I worked there, like like spent a lot of money
Aye.
on vinyl, and like the hardcore stuff and that when I worked there, and the trance stuff like was the biggest seller in the shop at one time. So it's a bit of a bad like stereotype to have, but it's just like a shop that for me just means so much to me, and like working there like gave me so many opportunities, like led to my residency at Inside Out, just the networking, like led to me meeting so many people for record labels, like went over to meet them, like travelled like internationally with the shop because they ran like Notting Hill Music and they done a lot of labels as well. We also signed some like really crazy records to the UK as well, which I'll get onto in a wee bit, but as a shop it was legendary, and working there for several years was great. And just to be in an environment where you're a music lover and you're like basically selling records all day and like being involved in the music industry is just like an experience that you just money can't buy, man. It was just sheer happiness all the time.
Who was it that interviewed you for in there?
Well, the reason why I did get a job in there, it was actually pretty funny. So Billy Reid was working there, and I used to go in religiously, like I said, and then like one day I went in and Billy Reid wasn't there, and I said to like the big guy Davey Yates as well, who was the assistant manager, I said to Davey, oh, where's Billy? And he's like, oh, Billy's left the shop. So like I didn't go back into 23rd Precinct for about 8 months. Right. Because I just gelled with Billy Reid, and like, he's still one of my heroes a day, and still such a great DJ, and I just thought if he didn't go in, I thought I'd go back to that way. It'd be like I wouldn't get served again, and then I went in like 8 months later, and I noticed they stopped stocking hardcore. Like just didn't have anything that I wanted, probably because there was no one to buy it. So when I was in again, I remember Billy Kilty, who was the owner. He's like, oh, how you doing? I've not seen you in the shop for ages. Like, what's the reason? And I was like, oh, just because you're not stocking like anything that I want, and Billy Reid's not here. And he's like that. Oh, right. He's like that. What sort of stuff you into? I said, well, I'm into like Scott Brown and like hardcore stuff. And he's like, oh, come into the stock room at the back of me. And I was like, all right, cool, no bother. Went into the stock room, and he's like, oh, I've got all the Evolution back catalogue. Like loads of Evolution back catalogue stuff in the stock room, because he obviously published Scott Brown in that.
That's right. And that was through 23rd Precinct. It was through 23rd Precinct,
so it had like loads of Evolution Gold, like Ultimate Buzz Check the Bass, just copies lying there. And I was like to Billy, I was like, why have you not got this out in the shop? And he's like that, oh, no one can like sell it or that and stuff. I was like to Billy, like just being blasé as a young guy, I was like, guarantee you, I was like, if I put that at the front, I'd sell it. And he's like, would you like to try that? And I was like, aye, no bother. So I ended up putting the hardcore records at the front and stuff, and basically like, I phoned like all my mates, and I was like, get down to 23rd because there's hardcore records here. Man. Like I just come down, there's like some right gold here. We ended up selling loads of them, and then like what I would do as well is, and then after that was quite successful, Billy's like that, he obviously seen some potential, and he's like that to me, oh well, do you want to start working on a Saturday and stuff? And I was like, aye, no bother. And then Billy's like that to me as well, like started selling, and then we used to buy in collections, like hardcore collections off people and that as well. And we used to do this thing in 23rd as well. I don't know if you were there, but it used to be like auctioning the rare records.
I remember.
So we had like a polystyrene like record sleeve up the top, and you used to put it there so everyone could see it. And a lot of the wee guys would just come in and bid crazy money. So they would. It was like, I think one of the things I remember, like Colin Tevendale, who worked there as well, had a copy of Bonsai made a Dream Your Dream Free. Which was like a big restaurant at the time. It was like a bona fide res classic, and I remember like two wee guys were bidding, and I think it went for like 80 quid. It was just like 40, 45, 50. It was just like an actual like proper auction. And I remember like one of the wee guys who was sitting there, like who lost the auction, like actually raging, like they were going. I thought they were going to actually just kick hell at each other. You know what I mean? I was like, it's like that. We need to stop this, or we need to do it in a better way so people aren't scrapping in the shop. But if you remember Big Davey Yates, he was like a big American football player, so if anything would have kicked off, I'm sure he would have just hanged them up by the scruff of the neck and just put them at the shop.
I didn't know that you probably kind of started the kind of hardcore back up then. You're responsible for everybody going back. That's class, man. Because I just, what I loved about it is you're into that style of music, right? You're into hardcore, you're into happy hardcore. And there's this wee place you can go. There's this wee place you can go on a Saturday. You've got your money, and you meet people.
Exactly.
I've still got mates who I'm really close to that I met in that shop, right? And it was just getting your records together. You've got a deck there, you've got headphones to listen to them. You could spend your whole day in there.
Exactly.
It was just a magic beat, and it looked cool as fuck in there as well. Do you know what I mean? It was brilliant.
It was, but I think for me as well, like the first few times I went in, I think I was a bit preoccupied and a bit thinking that it was a bit pretentious for me because it was like so cool. And I think, you know yourself, Mick, if you go in and basically like you go into a shop like that for the first time, it can be quite scary and quite daunting.
Aye,
Because
you're a young guy as well,
Aye.
and you've got all these fucking people coming in, and
and plus there's like super famous DJs that went there as well. It's like when I worked there, I worked there for several years, and I remember I started off doing hardcore, and then I done hardcore and trance, then I started doing hardcore trance and techno at the time as well. And because we were like a cool cut shop, we had guys like Simon Foy, Duncan Reid. We had like Slam come in, so like I was serving all these guys, Trevor Riley, like all the big DJs in Glasgow would come in like and like hound me for tunes, and it was quite bad because like back in the day you would only have like a couple of promos. Like record labels would send you stuff really up front, so you'd have to try and keep everybody sweet. And like the amount of times I had like people like fall out with me because I couldn't like give them like copies of tunes.
Give that to Trevor Riley, sorry mate.
Trevor, or I gave that to Davey Forbes, or I gave that to Milwaukee Lee. Like they were all coming and buying records because they were all gigging on vinyl religiously. And then it was quite daunting for me. But then you started to get to know like anything, like what people's tastes are, and you pick it up pretty quickly. And I think if you've just got an ear for music as well, you know what sells and what doesn't. You'll know a good tune.
Why?
For the back in the day, and it was like funny as well because you'd have record distributors. They're the ones that basically sell you all the records, like Amato, Jedi, Mo's Music, and that was a big hardcore one. Icon.
They done the queued ups, didn't they?
They done all the queued up stuff. Shoop as well, and they done all the distributors done that. But it was the days before the internet, so what they'd do is they'd actually like phone you up and they'd like play you a tune down the phone. And you'd be like, got to skip it to the breakdown, and the guy's like, alright, cool. Hell. So you actually have to judge like how many copies you want of a tune just over the phone. And then what you'd do is, because there was no internet, you'd have to fax your orders through.
And it would just come through,
But
That's
then
mad.
again, the fax machine we had in 23rd was an absolute shanner. So it would always jam, and there'd be like accusing us to try and get our orders in before the end of the week because Saturday was obviously a busy day. So it was challenging at times, but it was a great experience, man.
One of my favourite days, one of the best days of my life, involves you, mate. Right? I was a tiny wee guy, right? I was wee, man. I'm still wee, but I was even wee when I was young. I was wee, and I just used to come in and I would hear my tunes. I would hear tunes like R Chaos and Active FM. And there was this tune that I loved, and everybody loved it, and we didn't know what it was called because when some of the DJs on the radio stations would even tell you some of the names because they wanted it for themselves. They wanted to be the only people that had the record, and it was we called it the scratching tune. Right, and I didn't know what it was called, so I'd ask people, and I came in and I asked, what's the tune that goes da da, da, and then you were like, you first said it's, I think that's Boom Boom Bang Bang or something. And I was like, right, and then I says, if you go to it, and you're like, I have got it. I'm like, no, you haven't. Not. You're like, I've got it. And then you're like, I says, will you sell me it? And you're like, aye. And I'm like, how much? And I think you said like 15 or 20 quid. I'm like, right. And then you said, I'll bring it in next Saturday. So I can remember getting into the tune, pure, like, hadn't slept in about 3 days. I was like 14 or 15, pure buzzing for this record. And then you just gave me it. And I was like, yes. Do you know what I mean? It was like wee things like that are amazing. And then it's still one of my most prized possessions because I got it, and I would hear it on the radio, and I would play it through a wee crap tape recorder. I would scratch on my decks. Do you know what I mean? And it's one of my favourite tunes ever, and it was just wee things like that. That were.
You've actually reminded me of a memory as well. We were talking about the first time you ever DJed. I remember listening to a tape, and like, this is probably a bit like a lot of people. Like, I didn't even know that like DJs had like 2 decks and a mixer. So I remember being in my mum's, and she had like a turntable on the top and a hi-fi. You know how about a tape deck? So what I used to think how you used to mix was, I used to think you used to play a record and then you used to try and like switch between where you had to switch between the tape deck and the turntable. So I'm trying to do that and play at the same time. I'm like, this DJing thing's like solid. And I think I was playing like my mum's Simply Red records and stuff and trying to mix it into like some shitty like
that's how I started doing it. It was my dad that gave me just to say, it's a vinyl to tap, a radio, and 2 tape decks, and a big like cabinet, and that's what I would do. I would like, play CDs and tape them because you didn't know. I didn't even know what decks were. But I knew I wanted to be a DJ. I knew I wanted to play music, and it was the only when I saw a video. I think I've fucking said this on every podcast I've been on, because everybody says, how'd you get into DJing? But it was a video called Death Row Uncut 2 Gangster for TV.
Oh, I've seen that.
And it was DJ Quick,
Yeah.
and he had 2 decks and a mixer, and it was the sound of scratching that I loved. I always heard it and thought that's, and then as soon as I seen it, I'm like, right, that's how you do that.
Brilliant.
And then I just begged and begged my mum every day.
Excellent.
But so man, it's very, very nostalgic. It's very, very good memories, mate.
I think the thing as well is that I miss about the times as well is it's not like today. If you want to figure out how to do something, you can just Google it or YouTube it. It was, I think,
no mystery.
I think the fun was making mistakes, know how learning yourself and then figuring something out. And it's like yourself, Mikey, when you want to learn how to like crab scratch or like do like a reverse helicopter scratch. It was like when you figured that out yourself, it was such a great sense of achievement. But now it's like I think a lot of wee guys that are just doing digital decks or like that, or I'm not going to spend hours doing that. I just want instant gratification, or I want everything done yesterday. They don't want to they don't want to work for it, which I think for me is like it takes a lot of fun out of stuff as well.
It does. How long do you think it took you to actually realise, right, I'm quite good here? Like, how long did it take for you to just obviously not be able to mix, to be enjoying mixing and being like, right, I can do this is something I can actually do here?
I think for me, mate, it's it goes back to the time like we done pirate radio for quite a lot, like in the north of Glasgow. We actually had a station called Wiz FM. Like we done that. We bought a 5-watt transmitter off a wee guy that was basically just wanted to go out and like buy hash. Like he sold us it for like 50 quid because he just wanted to buy like hash. So we like took that off him, and we were like to him, "Are you sure?" And he's like, "I just want to just get mad with it," basically. And we were like, "All right, cool, no bother." And we set that up, and we actually done it for the north of Glasgow, and we done it in a converted garage and put the aerial up a tree. So like my dad actually had to like climb a tree because we were so small. So he's pure up like a pure monkey, like getting this aerial. And to be honest, the reception was really bad. But then we knew this girl at the time, and then she stayed in Sighthill Flats, and like I remember we done a broadcast for there, and it hit the whole of Glasgow, as it was just like it was just like total high and like total 360, like no obstructions for all the radio waves and stuff. And I actually remember there was one time as well, like the DTI, remember them? They were everybody's favourite. And I remember like we had this aerial up a tree, and there was tenement flats across for the garage we done it at. And I remember like the DTI were outside, so we had like a wee guy watching them. So as we used to buy him like a pizza crunch and a pizza at night.
He was doing edgy.
That was his edgy, aye. So he was like, "Oh, the DTI are a bit with a van," because you knew them because they had the radio, how the wee radio receiver thing at the top. And there was this tenement across the road, and the area we were in at the moment, they were pulling all the buildings down apart from this one tenement. So the DPI, which is the radio police at the time, so they were quite heavy for like busting a lot of pirate radio stations. He actually went up to this woman's tenement and basically like actually went up, thought we were in the loft, and they were like to her, "Oh, we need access to the loft," and the woman's like that, "Oh, I've got a key for it," and they're like that, "No, by law we need to like break in." So it's like forced entry. So they actually destroyed the loft, and you know how in old tenements you had the loft and like kind of communal close up the top.
Oh, aye.
Aye, so they burst in that.
And it was right along.
They burst in that and didn't see it. So like after that, because we had like Technics 1210s and quite a lot of equipment, because we all put into it, the few guys that were into it, and all the records, like we just flushed the transmitter down the toilet. After that was like the end of it, because we were like, it's just a close call, so we didn't really want to like run the risk of like losing your records and losing your prized possessions back in the day.
Aye, because a lot used to get caught. The big one was Force FM, you remember that? I think that was like Livy in that. Castlemilk, then there was Active FM, that was Castlemilk. Everybody listened to that. There was Kitting FM.
Paradise FM, I think I remember as well. And then what was the one? I think I watched a thing on YouTube recently. It was a guy.
Yes, for Paisley.
The guy for Paisley.
DJ Illusion.
DJ Illusion.
DJ Illusion is a very disturbed little boy.
I remember that. I don't. Is he still here at the moment?
No, he died, man. He died in a work accident or something. That's a good. I can't remember the name of the station, but it's a good wee documentary. Mark Smith and that's in it.
I think if you put Illusion FM into like YouTube
Illusion
or something,
FM, that's it. That's what it was.
That's it. And I always remember the guys like Missy's like going absolutely tonto as
Mental,
well, because he's like, because that was all he was obsessed in. But respect to a lot of the guys who done pirate radio back in the day, because it was like it was really humbling and it was great. And I think at the time when we had like mobile phones as well, we used to tape the microphone like just to the phone for shout outs and that, and you'd have like different schemes like what is like,
you're on, I'm on live, like, don't swear.
It's not like nowadays with the GBX, like, gotta give a shout out, Georgie boy. It was usually some people with schemes going like that, you've napped my bird and all that, I'm gonna kill you and all that. But we were probably like yourself, Mikey, we were one of the stations that didn't want swearing or anything. We tried to run it like quite professionally, and the funny thing that I always remember about like pirate radio as well, like I seen a woman like a couple of years ago, because I was back in that area, like just visiting one of my mates, and in the north of Glasgow, and this woman came up to me and she's like, "Oh, are you still DJing and that?" I was like, "I am still DJing and stuff." And she's like, "Oh, I remember when you used to do the pirate radio station." She's like, "I used to love it back in the days because my son at the time, like I knew where he was at the weekend because he'd just stay in and listen to it, so he's not in the streets causing trouble." And we got loads of like thank you letters for like parents as well, just saying, "Oh, thanks for like keeping my kids where they are and keeping them off the streets and like they're not causing trouble, no drinking, no fighting and that." So that's a wee bit of like gratitude that I'm always grateful for that as well.
Because it did, man. It was brilliant. You would go into school in the Monday and you'd be talking, everybody would be talking, "Oh, did you hear they played that?" It was brilliant, man. It's just radio. Like, it's always good to do a wee set like, on the radio or something like that, but something magic about, because it's illegal.
Exactly.
It's pirate radio. These are the tunes that the DJs are playing, the cool tunes that you're not going to hear on the radio. It was just class, man. And I think about it often. You know what I mean? But it's just, I'm glad to have lived through it. You know what I mean?
100%. Like I was talking to one of my mates about that the other day as well, and it was just about like all the things that have just changed nowadays and how like society's so throwaway and stuff. And it's just like, I don't know if it's just that we're getting a bit older, Mikey, but I do genuinely believe that music back in the day, back then, like just people back in the day, like before COVID as well, and before like the world's just went absolutely crazy. So I just miss it. Obviously, you look through things with rose tinted glasses when it comes to nostalgia, but I do miss those days, definitely.
So you've been gigging down south quite a lot recently, and it's been vinyl you've been playing.
Yep.
Have you been enjoying it?
Oh, it's been beautiful, man. Like as much as like that's such a word for vinyl, it's like I just love playing like vinyl, buying vinyl, and I love that it's had such a great resurgence at the moment as well. I think just for me, it's to have that tangibility, and like you know yourself, Mikey, probably a lot of people that DJ now like haven't ever used vinyl before. And to be honest, no disrespect to like digital DJing, but technology does a lot of it for you. But like the sync button, it's digital BPM readouts and stuff. You know where the waveform is, but with vinyl, you really need to know your tunes.
You need to know your tunes, and it's like just your ear.
And the thing with vinyl as well is you can't hide and you can't cut corners with it. If you can't mix, like you're exposed on it. It's not like you can just go, "Oh, that mix is dodgy, sync button it," which I know that a lot of big DJs and that do in clubs and that, and I think it's quite lazy as well. So
talked about that the other day there about pre-recorded sets and stuff like that. And sometimes I think it's like it's not even the DJ's fault, because it's like these big festivals are playing it, because of the production levels are so high. It's the after shows, the lights, the big screens with the visuals on it. They need to do it. You know what I mean? And it takes it away for DJing altogether. Obviously, people are there to hear the tunes. It's a brilliant sound system. The DJ's playing his own tunes, which is not playing his own tunes, but it's his own tunes are getting played through the sound. But it takes away for the rustic mixing. You know what I mean? Like a wee bit of chasing the beat and stuff like that. I love to hear it.
That's the thing for me. It's like I love like mixing when like you can hear like a mix isn't perfect. It's like I love hearing like the rawness of a mix, and you say it shows that somebody's authentic as well. And I love hearing when maybe things aren't right in key, or like people's just done thing off the cuff, because it's so easy now. A lot of people use like mixing key and do harmonic mixing, and I think that really limits a lot of DJs as well. And I think it just takes the fun out of it as well, because I remember a bit like yourself as well, like you get that bag of tunes and you're just like going and you're just like that, this might work, this might not. And even turning up to gigs, man, and not playing tunes together and just like going, "Oh, what's the crowd gonna like?" Or I might play a bit happier, I might play a bit more melodic, a bit more vocal, but and you know yourself, if you just pre-plan a set, like the wee guy on before you might play 5 or 6 of your tunes, and then if you've got those 12 tunes like mapped out, it's like, where are you gonna go? That's it,
I know. So you obviously, you were the resident for the famous massive Inside Out night that was held in the Archies, an amazing club that's recently been shut down. Shut down maybe about 5, 6, no. How many years?
I think it was 7 years ago.
7 years
ago.
It
was 2015 or 2016, if I believe rightly. Yeah. So they shut it down and then reopened it as that platform where they done like fancy
street food and all that.
Street food and that. Yeah.
So, you tell me about that. Like, how did you you said that you got into that through 23rd Precinct then, so how did that come about?
Aye, so going back to 23rd Precinct and why I'm so eternally grateful for that, as well as what we used to do to sell records, as well as we used to have a set of decks set up in the front shop. So what we'd do to like entice people if they were in the shop, we'd play tunes. So maybe if they don't get them a bundle, we'll just play what we think is going to be big. So I used to like always mix in there for like a couple hours. So can't really grumble, man. You're in a shop on a Saturday getting paid a wage and still playing records, like buying records. So it's like it's not even work, man. Know what I mean? So I used to like mix in there on scratch as well, because you know yourself, Mikey, a lot of guys that if you were scratching, they'd be like that, oh, I'll just buy that scratch sample.
Ears up.
Aye, that's it. Ears prick
just
up.
That's it. I've always said that. As soon as you hear for me, that's why I think I scratch too much. Right, but I can't help it, especially when I was mad with it. I was like, right, fuck it, because I enjoy doing it, and I know like if there's people like walking out the room and they hear, they come back.
Aye, that's it.
Do you know what I mean? So obviously somebody must have saw you playing in there.
Oh no, so what we used to do in 23rd as well was we used to be like a big ticket outlet as well. So like what would happen is like guys like Simon Foy and Duncan Reid, who promoted Inside Out, and I can't remember the guy's name who used to hang me for Pressure as well. So we had like Ricky McGowan, the Colours, Simon and Duncan for Inside Out, and all the other local promoters would come in and drop tickets off. So I was actually like DJing in the shop at one time, and Duncan Reid came in, but just mixing away, didn't really know who he was, and he was like, who's that DJing? To like Billy Kilty, and Billy Kilty's like, oh, that's William, he's like one of the new guys in the shop and that. He's like, alright, cool. He's like, would he do me like a demo tape? And I held off for ages. Billy's like, do that demo tape for Inside Out, and I was like, nah, I don't think it's going to come to anything. Billy's like, no, trust me, do it. So like I held off for like a couple of weeks, and then Simon came in to do like a ticket count with that, and I was mixing away as well, and Simon's like to Billy, like, who's this wee guy hanging? Because I was scratching that over chance, and that was the time when like Eddie Halliwell was breaking through, so he was like the only one doing it as well, and I wasn't even doing anything,
because it made you stun it a bit.
That's it. It was like a USP at the time, and I was just doing it because I was just basically fucking about, and I was like bored, because like when you're in the shop, you're just like sitting there and you're like, oh, what will I do? I'll get a scratch sample it and do that, rather than mix like 8-minute trance records. So Simon's came in, he's like, oh, who's that? And Simon at the time done a Beat 106 show as well.
That's right.
And so Simon said to Billy, oh, will he do us a demo on that? So Billy's like, will you do this demo for that? And I was like, no. And then Simon got in touch with Billy, and he's like, oh, can I get William's number? I was like, all right, cool. So Simon Foy's phoned me up, and he's like, oh, I'd really like you to do a mix for Beat 106 at the time. And they done that live on the radio, obviously.
That was brilliant,
when
man.
that was it. And I was like, that, all right. And Simon's like, but everybody pre-records the show. And I was like, well, I said, Simon, I'll come down and do it live on vinyl. And Simon's like, what do you mean come down and do it live? And I was like, no, I'll come down to the studio and do it live. And my mate Davey Wilson at the time as well, like big shout out to Davey, like he used to answer the phones for Simon Foy. Right. So he was like that, oh, aye, you can come down and all that. So I don't know if Simon was maybe thinking, oh, this is a wee guy full of bravado, like I'll crumble if he's on the radio. So I think Davey put a good word in and said, no, I'll come down and I'll do it. So I remember going down to Beat 106 Studios with my bag of records and that, and Simon's like, right, well, live, so you've got like the on-air bit at the Beat 106 Studios. So went on, and I was nervous at that as well, but like yourself, Mikey, you know how if your first mix in vinyl goes alright, you know it's going to be a good set. So I just done that, and then Simon's like, would you be interested in playing at like an Inside Out night? And it's not the type of question you're going to be like, no, I am like that, of course.
It's like just probably the biggest night in Glasgow for years and years and years.
100%. And apart from like playing at a Resurrection when I was really into hardcore, for me my ultimate goal was playing at Inside Out. That was like, that would be like playing for Man U and scoring a goal in the Champions League final. So for me that was like my holy grail. So I always remember, I think one of the first gigs I ever done for Inside Out, it wasn't actually the first time I played at the Archies, but it was the first time I played for Inside Out, and it was a Japanese Future Heroes night. I think it was like guys like Energy Die, and I can't remember who the other DJ was at the time, and I remember it was like playing in the front arch, and it was just that buzzer playing your first record. And I still remember what the first ever record I played. It was a Paul Mendes record called Second Skin, and it was by a guy called Gert Huntervik, who actually produced for Tiesto. He was Tiesto's co-producer, and I remember that was just like a big massive like tech trance tune at the time on a label called ID&T. And I remember playing that and just the reaction and just hearing like a crowd draw, and it was all people, because I used to go to Inside Out at the time there. It was like a lot of people support you, and still a big shout out to people that go to Inside Out, like they still come to my gigs even after like, because you turned into a little
bit of a celebrity, didn't you?
Aye, but for me, Mikey, like I'd never ever think of myself as like anything special.
Exactly, I know. You're humble, mate.
I don't like DJs that think, oh, they've done a lot, because a lot of people's done a lot more than me. But for me, I'm just a wee guy for to a rough
Exactly.
scheme that just got into tunes because I didn't want to sell drugs or steal cars.
That's
And
it.
for me, music changed my life, and I've been really fortunate and really lucky. So I'm really honoured and really humbled that I've had the opportunity to do what I've done.
Aye, no, it was brilliant, mate. Because like I said, like you're a legend, and people loved you, and they went to see you. You know what I mean?
Aye.
Like I had seen you a good few times, and even like videos that you post and all that. Everybody's right up for it.
Aye.
You know what I mean? Like it was class.
Aye, I mean, for me, it's like the Archie's done a book as well. Recently, it was guys that worked
David
there.
Bratchpiece.
Bratchie done it, and
Yep.
he like phoned me up for like he's like, oh, do you want to like say a couple of words about the Archies in the book? And I was like, that really humbled that you actually like included me in the
Yep.
book. But for me, that was like the hardest few paragraphs
Oh,
to like
aye.
try and sum up a place that means so much to me. I mean, back in the day, Mikey, like I was playing for Free Fall, Inside Out, done Colours as well.
Yep.
Still play for Colours. Recently at SWG3, so I still work with with Ricky quite a lot and stuff. But for me, like my ultimate goal in DJing was I never wanted to tour as an artist. I never wanted to be like a big time DJ. I just wanted to play Inside Out the Archies.
Aye, wanted to be a resident there all the time.
Aye, and I think the thing to be lucky enough to have a residency there, get there on merit, and not get there because I'm a wee guy selling tickets or I'm licking somebody's arse.
No,
And
definitely.
and no disrespect to anybody when I say that, but
Aye.
to get there on merit for me, that was something
100%.
that I'll always be eternally grateful for.
Aye, because it's like it's a mixture of hard work, merit, like you're working for it, and good luck as well.
Aye, no, 100%.
Because think how many
Aye.
DJs in Glasgow and Scotland there
Aye.
was, and you were the one who got to do it all.
Aye,
You know what I mean? It's brilliant.
100%, and I think one of the proudest things for me as well was when my good friend Barry Connell, who's no longer with us,
Aye,
man,
for shame, man.
respect to him, he passed away from meningitis in 2008, a week after he'd done his Essential mix at Inside Out, so the timing for that was tragic.
Aye.
But the proudest moment for me was when me and Barry got a residency at Inside Out. Like I got a residency before him, then he got his residency, and then he got a residency at Good Grief afterwards. And I remember we were sitting in his mum's house at the time, and we just manifested with that. How cool would it be if we both played for Inside Out? And it actually happened. And I always remember the sense of pride that I had for him because that was such a big achievement. And I still believe if he was still here today, man, he would have been massive. Like he would have been probably one of the biggest DJs that ever come out of Scotland.
Hard working, right into it.
Hard working and just a genuine nice guy. You know what I mean? Humble as well, no up his own arse, and just a really, really great guy to be about. And he was well loved by everybody as well.
Aye, he was,
so,
aye.
and he was an absolute legend.
Aye, legend. Shout out to him, man. Brilliant. So we've talked about the inside out and that, right? Let's talk about. People like to hear the bad side of things as well, right?
Yep.
So can you tell me about I know you've had many gigs, but what's been your worst ever gig?
Not gonna lie, in DJing, man, I know everybody for the Instagram generation says that every gig's their best gig ever, and it's like, oh,
Smashed it, smashed
every
it.
time I go, hey, I love this, my best gig I've ever done and stuff. But obviously, like when you do the multitude of gigs that we've done, Mikey, over the time, you do the occasional shouter. I think one of the worst gigs I ever had was on the Renfrew Ferry. It wasn't for Al Twisted, it was for a new promoter guy that came into 23rd. And I think the flyer he had like a shoe in the flyer and stuff, and he booked us for it. And then he's like that, oh, but I'll pay you at the end of the night and that. So like, I think back at the time back then when I was working in 23rd, like I was happy to like DJ for like 50 to 100 quid a gig, because that was a lot of money for me. Back when I was working in 23rd, I was getting like 20 quid a day. So when you're a wee guy and you work like 5 days a week and you've got 100 quid, you know that 100 quid's gone back in records.
Definitely.
So any extra money you make for a gig's gone back in records anyway. So Billy Kilty's winning regardless, that's it, aye. So I think we done the gig at the Renfrew Ferry, and the guy didn't have the sound set up properly. The sound was abysmal, and then guy didn't sell a lot of tickets, so it was like pretty empty. And then the guy like basically fucked off like halfway through the night. Didn't pay anybody, and then like security at the end of the night didn't pay the venue either. And the venue's coming up to us as like DJs and going, "Oh, are you going to pay us a venue fee?" And we're like, "We're not the promoters."
Fucking
and
hell.
I think whoever ran the Renfrew Ferry at the time was raging, and they're like, "We're not going to let you leave until we get money." And they're like, "Well, I've not got like 400 or 500 quid to pay you." You know what I mean?
Oh no.
And that was it. Aye. So I think that's up there as one of the worst, mates. So aye.
That was a good venue, I know.
It was a brilliant venue.
Brilliant to play on. It didn't move or anything, but you were on a boat.
Oh,
you know
it was,
what I mean? It was good.
I think one of the best gigs I ever done at the Renfrew Ferry was a gig with Al Twisted as well. I think he had like Alex Kidd, me and somebody else on there, and I think Al used to put like a lot of events on at the Renfrew Ferry.
I remember that that night. I was playing it at an and Alex Kidd used to just like smoke fags, man,
Aye.
on the decks,
He
even
would-
when the smoking ban.
Aye.
Well, that was his thing, just like snout, like just mixing
Aye.
away, man. Fucking-
Aye, he was a mad cat indeed.
Aye.
Aye, mad cat.
Aye, he's brand new, man. So he's mental. He's making hardcore and all again now.
Aye, brilliant.
AK-47 he's calling
Aye.
himself. But aye, man, so we've talked about the bad gig. What about your favourite gig, your most memorable favourite gig when you look back and say, that was it, that was it?
It's a really, really hard one. There's been loads of great inside outs that I've done, but if I want to have like one gig that I think's been the ultimate pinnacle for me, it was probably playing alongside Tiesto at the SECC. Like for me, that was like a huge thing. It was
Was that a Tiesto concert or was it a?
It was like, I think it was, I don't know if it was his Kaleidoscape tour,
Right.
tour or it was something, but Ricky put on a colours gig at the SECC. And for me to basically like play that, we weren't playing in the same room as Tiesto, obviously.
Right,
I think it was Andrew Drugood and David Forbes who were doing the support for Tiesto. And he put like some Scottish guys in the second room.
Brilliant.
And I just remember like being in the SECC, like seeing so many great bands there, so many great artists, and to actually like have the opportunity to play in like a venue like that for me was like, and to play it like a Tiesto gig at the SECC was great as well. Done other Tiesto gigs like at the Highland Centre as well, like the Royal Highland Showground. So for me to play there at like the home of res basically, kind of came full circle. So that's some of the highlights that definitely
Brilliant. So Daniel. William, Daniel. Can I call you Daniel?
That's what
You've
everybody.
got two first names.
Aye,
for your name.
that's what everybody does call me that in email. So it's like Daniel,
Right,
Daniel,
aye.
and I'm like, okay, no bother.
So you get called Wally D for many years.
Aye.
Was that for 23rd Precinct? Was that people just coming in and calling you Wally, or was that your DJ name for a bit? Or?
No, actually, I've only ever been on one flyer as Willie
Willie
D.
D.
So I think what it was is we used to go to quite a lot of after parties and stuff, and a lot of the people that I used to hang about with used to just call me Willie D. Because it was just like a kind of like nickname stuff. And then I always remember like whenever I played out, because there was like a group of them that used to always come to the gigs, they always used to just shout Willie, Willie, Willie fucking D instead of here we fucking go.
That's what I was going to say. Aye.
So that kind of like
Willie,
ended,
Willie fucking D.
So that ended up kind of sticking, man. And then I think it was just through that it's just stuck. So that's it.
Aye.
Yep.
So I want to ask you, if you could play anywhere, if you could play any event, what would your dream gig be? Like something that you've always kind of wanted to do, or maybe like something that's just, it might be a new event, whatever.
Aye.
You tell me.
I think obviously you've got like the big festivals like Dream State, which my good mate Davey Forbes plays at. He's absolutely smashing it at the moment, and always look at his videos on Instagram and stuff, and just some of the US festivals. Amazing. It's just like it's another world.
Davey Forbes up in the what?
Yeah, he's an absolute legend, such a great guy as well. Like absolute genuine, like good soul. And some of the events he does. So obviously like a Dream State, some American festivals would be my dream, but being on a more realistic level, what I'd really like to do, which I do have planned this year as well, is just to do a vinyl open to close in like a Glasgow club.
Yes.
So it'd just be like me for like 6 hours just playing vinyl, just stuff over the last 25 years that kind of encapsulates me as a DJ.
Mate, you need to do it.
So I do have plans for that like happening. So obviously know a bit of self promotion, but
no, listen, that's it. Get it plugged.
No, it's all
I would
good.
love to see that, mate, because like I would like to do something like that as well. Malak Ali, shout out to Malak Ali, legend,
exactly.
passed away, which is a gutter for everybody in the rave scene and the music, the dance world. But he done a few open to closes, and it's just a brilliant thing because like for a DJ, turning up to do a gig you're on for an hour, which is good, but you want to be on the decks all night long.
Oh, 100%.
And you want to showcase, the kind of different styles you were into.
Aye.
So talk me through then, like what would you do? How would you open to close? What would you start with? What would you?
I would probably start quite housey. That's like stuff that I played like a lot of warm up stuff and Inside Out. So that would probably be about 122 to like 128 BPM, and build it up to like some progressive stuff to like 132, 134, then go into like some techie stuff, then go into trancey stuff at 140. Then I'd kind of build it up to like harder trance stuff because Scott Project and Yoji Bayamahamaka were really, really big back in the day Inside Out, so that would probably get up to 145, 150, and then for the last hour and a half it'd just be hardcore classics, like happy hardcore.
I was going to say there,
there
was a point when you were talking about that there, I didn't think you were going to mention hardcore, but how could they know?
Oh no, man,
you know
hardcore's instrumental. It's what kind of got me into dance music, so it'd just be like a big mishmash and loads of like old rave stuff as well. Like I just you can't ignore the hardcore, as Malakali used to say. That's
you
it.
can't, man.
That's
you can't. It's in your blood. It's in your blood.
100%.
Do you know what I mean? It's like I'm 37 and I still listen to these tunes and it's like chipmunks singing. You know what I mean? But it's just fucking brilliant. It's just the memories and the way they made you feel.
I mean, some of it back in the day was absolutely terrible, like production quality as well. But like we didn't care about that. See, as long as the melody was catchy and the vocal was catchy and probably a big DJ played it, we didn't care. If it was played at RKO Sundays, I'd buy it regardless.
That's it. A good tune's a good tune.
Aye, that's it.
But there is a lot of, looking back now, like you're older and you understand more about music production and the quality of the productions. Even when I'm digging through some records now, and you're trying to mix it, like, how did I used to try and mix it? It's like two different styles of tunes all together.
100%.
One sounds like pure like tinny and like there's no kick in it, and the other one's like a well produced Dutch thing with DJ Isaac or something.
I think the thing is that I realised with a lot of stuff as well back in the day is like when you listen back to it, half the records that are pressed aren't even mastered properly, and it's like a lot of stuff you have to like really hit the gains up, you have to hit the EQs up as well, and it's like some of the samples in that are like right out of time as well, so you're just like, it's crazy how these things even got pressed and sold thousands and thousands of copies. That's
mad. So that brings us in nicely then. We've got a special treat for these vinyl junkies. You're going to love this. I asked Wally D to bring 5 his top happy hardcore records, so I'm excited about this. I don't know what he's brought. I know he loves his tunes. We like a lot of the same tunes, but I'm excited to see what we've got. So do you want to kind of talk us through?
Aye, definitely.
These ones, right?
So I'll talk you through these. So
he's brought them. He's brought them with him,
and I brought this in a really special record bag as well, which a lot of people will realise.
Yeah,
it's like a 23rd Precinct bag. So if you were buying records back in the day, these bags were absolutely legendary.
That is like, a legendary bag. It is.
Like, I don't know, I could probably put this in eBay and maybe get like 50p for it. So that's not bad. So I'll start with the first one. So this is called Uranus, Floating a Vibe. So this is like a big happy hardcore record. It was originally on Charlie Lowlies and Mental Theo's Master Maximum label, but it got repressed recently on Rewind Records, which is DJ Scotty, who used to do the Hangar 13 events in Newcastle. So he repressed this and I bought 4 copies of it. Because I just love it so much. I originally heard this on a DJ Hixie Dreamscape 29 tape.
Yes.
And I think that's the tape that starts with the toilet. The guy having the diarrhea. Aye, everything is crap. That intro, and then it goes into the intro mix of this. And for me, this is like the ultimate happy hardcore tune.
Are you bringing it in at number 5?
I would bring this in at number 5.
5, right?
Yeah, so, number 5.
So when you bring, I'm going to actually sing that now. Right? So that's a part of the show. So Floating a Vibe. It's a high one. Right, we'll go with it.
Get the vocal cords sorted.
I float on a vibe. Right, shite, sorry about that, right, but I'm going to do it anyway.
I've actually got a semi after you
say
you
got that, good.
That is amazing.
So that's a brilliant tune. Let me see that here, let me touch it.
And it's
a Uranus, Floating a Vibe. What a tune. Great track.
And an
number 5.
And an actual fun fact about that is it was actually produced by Swenson, who's out of Swenson and Geelan, who done Twisted and all the trance stuff. So that was his hardcore release.
Right.
Aye.
I didn't know that.
So Swenson, so he's like an ultra top producer. Still
amazing,
produces
man.
trance today. So
super.
So Swenson from Swenson and Geelan produced Uranus.
Amazing.
It's Swen Mays, Dutch guy, which is cool. So
educational as well.
So we're gonna do this in order. So I will pull out what I've got.
Yeah, I love this. You know what I mean? I love this.
So number 4 is Attention Angels, which is a Scottish happy hardcore classic.
Yes.
It's by Robert and Mark Thompson. And the best mix of this was by far the Mr. Font remix, which was amazing. So I loads of memories of this tune for RKO Sundays.
Big tune.
I think I actually winched my first bird to this tune as well. So it gets major plays for me for that. So this brings back a lot of memories.
100%. It was a big tune in RKO Sundays. Oh no, the pirate radio stations. It was rare as well. When I was we were trying to get it. I remember my mate. Shout out to James Forrest. He ended up buying it. I think it was for £75, right?
Aye.
And he was mad with it and he took it up a house and he cracked it. He sat on it.
Gutter,
So it was
gutter.
Cracked Angels.
Cracked Angels.
Cracked Angels.
Angels
and,
on crack.
I ended up getting it as well, and I love it. And it goes like this. In my dreams, I can see an angel watching over me. Oh, angel.
I saw an angel.
Attention in the house. It's a raving number, but it's a brilliant tune, man. It's like one of the ones. Even my ma used to sing that. See, when I had the tunes on, like that was one of the ones that my mum actually enjoyed.
That was a huge pirate radio anthem as well back in the day. And I think I always remember people always used to mix Tiny Tot Disco Land into that. And it used to smash it. Yeah.
So that's number 4. Attention, Angels.
So many memories, man. So many memories.
That's what I'm saying. It's like good because you've got your stories.
Exactly.
I've got my stories, and then people are watching it. They've got their stories.
They have, they have. It was actually so hard to select 5, so my list of happy hardcore stuff like changes every day. So this one's a wee bit of a curveball, which a lot of people might not know.
Right.
But this is by Timo Maas, and it's called The Final Excess.
Right.
So on this, it's the Megalomania mix on it, and it was on Hicksey's Bonkers 2 tape for the Metro. They done the showcase, and it's actually, there's no singing in this, unfortunately, but it's got dolphins in it, and it goes the final excess.
I didn't know what that was there. Was there one with vocals in it?
There was one with vocals in it as well, but this is the one that doesn't have the vocal, but the melody in this tune is absolutely amazing. And Timo Maas is like a big trance kind of techno producer, but he actually used to do happy hardcore as well, which a lot of people don't realise. So
I didn't know that.
This is on M-Zone's label.
Right, M-Zone. Big DJ.
Big legend as well. So that's my number 3 for sure.
I'm even got to try and sing this one. I'll do the dolphin. Dolphin?
The dolphin.
It's more a dolphin noise.
Are we in New York?
I used to be actually good at doing voices and doing wee noises, but I'm shite now. I don't know if it's just because I'm older but this is me doing a dolphin. Shite. I'm disappointed in myself, but so that's at number 3.
Number 3, yeah.
Brilliant. Megalomania mix. M-Zone as well, brilliant.
As I say, there is so many tunes that I was trying to dig out before, and I was like my top 5, but these are ones that are my top 5 at the moment. There'll probably be more, so we'll do some honourable mentions
just
after
to
this.
say as well, before you do that, you've probably got one of the biggest collections, vinyl collections.
I'm glad you said vinyl and no pornographic.
That's me, mate. And obviously as well, you after working in 23rd Precinct, you had your own record shop. I remember finding out about that, and it was one night. It was me. It was like kind of wintry time, and me and a few of my pals. I was trying to get them, and they were like, "I'm not walking up Duke Street." I'm like, "I'm gone." And I can remember coming in and I bought a scratch sample after you, man.
No, that was good. That was Refresh Records, because we actually used to promote a night called Refresh as well. It was a trance night, so we tried to rebrand that with a record shop as well, because I stopped working in 23rd Precinct because my DJing was kind of taking off, and I couldn't really afford to like live on £100 a week anymore, which was kind of when you get a wee bit older with responsibilities, which is a shame. But still in touch with the guys in 23rd, and still absolutely love them as well. So always hang with that. So yeah, we ran that Refresh Records for a good while, and that was the time when vinyl was dying out because CDJs just came, so it kind of killed the whole market. A lot of distributors shut down as well, which was a shame. So I had good fun running my own record shop as well. That was good. That was good. So that's a wee unknown gem for you as well.
Good. Right, so we're down to number 2 here.
Number 2. This was a really, really hard choice, but it's a Pengo Records classic, and it's by Fortune Fairy Tales called My Little Fantasy. So many great memories of this tune. It was probably one of the first tunes that I heard DJ Sai scratch over. It was a Based and King Mafia remix, and it was on a Club Kinetic CD back in the day. I think that's a really, really famous English hardcore club for people that don't know. Just an amazing record. Pengo Records is also one of my favourite record labels as well, along with Baby Boom. So absolute classic. I love every mix on this.
Copy there as well.
It's a good copy.
If you were on Discogs trying to get that, it'd be very good.
And I know, definitely very good plus, I think.
Look at the artwork. When you're a wee guy and you see that just made my eyes light up. It's like a sweetie.
It is,
you know what I mean? You're like, I need that. But Pengo's the first, I didn't even know Pengo was like an actual record label, but obviously remember Pengo's Power Hits. Had all the hits, all the big tunes. Right. Can I whistle this one?
You can whistle it, definitely.
No, it's not that. It's
Dream a little fantasy.
and it makes me feel like ecstasy. Feels like that's the one. What a tune, what a track, and it's a deserved number 2. But look, that's a brilliant copy, mate.
And it was
ID&T.
It was a massive chart hit in Holland as well. I think the girl that sang on it was like a really, really famous singer as well. Just an amazing record label. And these records, probably all of these records, are really, really sought after and rare these days.
That's what I'm saying as well.
They're
Some of these
super
records go for like £200-400. So
exactly.
they do. And these were the ones that were really hard to get, like the kind of Dutch things. I mean, once they, obviously, these would have come out in 95, 96, 94 sometimes. Yep. And once they came out, that was them. Whoever had them. And they didn't like repress like a lot of these. So it was like really collecting them was an amazing thing.
And I think the thing is, you know yourself, Mick, where a lot of the hardcore stuff is, it's a lot of people trashed their records back in the day. They didn't look after them, so to get stuff that's in good condition, you're paying an absolute fortune for the scarcity of them.
And a good sleeve in good condition, no jumps or anything. So that's it. So this is can we do a drum roll? Have we got a drum roll? Right. So we'll do a drum roll for this one, because this is. I know it's going to be a good tune. They've all been great tunes, but it's good to see, because there's so many hardcore tracks out there. I mean, if somebody had to ask me to do that, I don't know what I would do.
Exactly.
I would be like, it's too hard. But you've actually done it. So this is the number 1 happy hardcore tune for William Daniel.
As of February
2024, because it will change.
Right, this one, Mick, has great memories for us both. And Joe Craig as well, because you know we're loyal to this label.
Okay.
This is it. This is Ultra Happy, Demolition Man and Mr. P.
Brilliant.
What a tune this is, man. I remember selling so many copies of these. And I remember Demolition Man and Mr. P coming into 23rd at the time and actually like bringing us a box of these copies
Brilliant, man.
And I remember the first JPM record they brought in, I said it wasn't the greatest. I think it was Carnival D.
That was a bad one.
It was a bad one.
Right, and then we'll let them off it.
And a wee exclusive as well, why the JPM records actually have scratch samples at the end of them was because I told them that you sell more copies to wee guys, so that's why everyone had bonus XXX scratch samples. Honestly, because we said that would sell more records to them,
and it did.
100%.
Wow, man! I always wondered why are they on it?
That's Demolition amazing. Man and Mr. P.
Amazing, mate. Like these scratch samples were legendary. Like, obviously, like they recorded some of them themselves. Like the Demolition Man likes to think he's the biggest DJ, but he's not. He's just the fattest. Right. Amazing, mate. Ultra Happy. I'm feeling ultra happy. What
a piano in that was like brilliant. It's probably a tune that's not really mastered properly either, but it's a great tune.
And everybody loved it as well. So,
and I think on Discogs that goes for over £100 easy if it ever comes up for sale.
Sometimes it's not even on it.
Exactly.
But they had also Prisoner, and they had Love is a Drug, and they had scratch samples on it as well. But even I can admit, see, just try to get these, hearing them and being like, I need to get that. Such and such has got it, and then you go to different schemes to swap record. It was so good, man. I'm probably sounding like a mad rambling maniac to people who don't understand what this is, but just to say that. It was brilliant.
It was brilliant.
Mate, that's five good tunes. Amazing, mate. Thanks for doing that for me.
So many memories to these. So it just brings back so many memories of like 23rd, being a wee guy doing pirate radio is just all encapsulated in this record.
That is, man, 100%. That's a good, mate, that's a fucking cracking copy as well. Because all the ones I've seen, they're just all fucked. That's all peeling off.
I think it's because I'm pretty anal with my records, so a lot of my good records I do keep in plastic sleeves. And
do you know what I mean? Gov, my pal Gary Governor called him spunk deflectors. For the good records.
They are indeed.
Spunk deflectors, mate. Right. Gov bought 50 spunk deflectors just to put it, because all my records are doing his. We just put our stuff together. We've done that for quite a long time now. I've got every single one of these records here, mate, apart from the
Timo Maas
one, mate. I've got every one of them there apart from that, man. But brilliant, mate. Listen, That was great. I enjoyed that. And what have you got? Any projects planned? Have you working on any tunes? Or are you?
I do quite a lot of stuff under an alias called Futura. So that's Futra. So I do a lot of like trance and harder trance stuff with that. So doing that. Got a few productions coming out this year. Also doing a lot of gigs. Obviously my open to close thing's coming soon. I know a lot of people have been hassling me for it, but it's just I've never felt the time's right. I think it's just a Scottish thing as well. You kind of don't think that you're going to be good enough to do it. You kind of got that lack of confidence, but I think now's kind of the right time.
I get it done, mate.
I'll get that done. Just doing that. I've got Colour's 29th birthday coming up. That's in SWG3 in Glasgow on March the 2nd, so it should be around about the time this goes out. Also got a gig in Infusion in Edinburgh, which is in a new club. It used to be Club Hype, and now it's changed to like I think it's Unit C or some other club, so it's been refurbished. So really looking for that. That's on the same night though, on the March 2nd, so I need to drive between gigs, which is going to be quite tight. But other than that,
like the old days.
Other than that, also recently just done a vinyl live stream with Steve Hellstrip for the Thrill Seekers. That's probably one of the highlights I've had DJing over the last 25 years. That's on YouTube as well.
Where can you find that?
That's on YouTube. So if you just type in Connected with the Thrill Seekers, it'll come up there. Probably leave a link in the description of the video here as well. Which would be good, but I just loads of stuff bubbling under. Mick, I've just taken each day as it comes, enjoys every gig as it comes as well, and just enjoying the music. So still got the same passion for it as I do all these years later since I was a wee guy, like first starting. So
just doesn't die.
It doesn't leave you, mate.
Even buying a record again, you still get that warm feeling.
Oh, I know, exactly.
Do you know what I mean? Like I said that collecting records back in the day was brilliant, but you fall away from it. You start DJing, you're playing with CDs, and then it moves into USB. And you know, if a vinyl set comes up, brilliant. But even that second or third time collecting records again, like on Discogs, is brilliant as well. Waiting on them coming and getting that mad feeling. It's amazing, mate.
It's just a shame that the records nowadays are like 10 times more expensive than they were back then. So I think like decent copies of like even trance stuff that I couldn't give away like 5 years ago are gone for like 15-20 quid. And it's like stuff like Fragma's Toka's Miracle, best trance tune in the world ever written, by the way. So that's it. So I had to get that in definitely, but it's just great, man, to see vinyl having such a resurgence. And
brilliant, man.
As you know, like old school DJs like us, I don't know if you're the same, Mick, but I don't feel like a real DJ turning up with a USB and a headphone.
Nah, man.
I need a record box.
You need a box.
Even though going down to York and travelling on a train and having 150 records crammed into a Techniques record case absolutely killed my arm.
Kills you, but you feel like a DJ.
You
feel
do,
like
definitely.
a DJ.
You do, definitely.
Amazing, mate. Where can people follow you?
They can follow me on all the usuals. The Facebook is just www.facebook.com William Daniel Music Official, or just search for me, William Daniel. You'll find me there. SoundCloud's Futura Music. That's Futura Music. Also, you'll get me like on Instagram, which is my name backwards. I'm not Russian, so it's just Lenin Adma Mali. That makes me sound like I'm not drunk.
Took me about 3 years to work that out.
No, I was DJing with a guy, a Dutch guy, and he was over at SWG3, and he's like that. I can't find you on social media, and I'm like, it's my name backwards, and he's like, you should change that because it's too hard for people to find you. I was like, but it's quite a bit of mystery. So I actually done a tune on Spinning Records with Davey Forbes as well, which we done a progger mix, say like a banging tune, and we just reversed their name, so he was Sebrov and I was Lenin, and people like that. Who are these Russian producers? Like, I've never heard of them before, and it's like, it's just us, so that's good.
Amazing, mate.
It's good. So that's just the usual stuff as well. So I don't use TikTok or anything, which is something. I heard you say in a recent podcast that you've just started using.
Have you started using it? I built it up and I've fucking lost it. So I put all that work into building it up, and it's just, I can't get it. It's just a pain in the arse. I've just like lost everything on it. So
I think for me, it's just with TikTok, I just find it like I've heard a lot of wee guys are really brutal on it as well. So for me, it's just like you don't want to go in and the wee guys are like, you're shit.
I know.
Or like your hair's no right or whatever. That's it.
That's what it is. That's what they do on it. They're horrible cunts. Right. So before we go, I just want to see if you want to do a wee toast to happy hardcore music.
Of course,
but it's rum, and it's non-alcoholic rum.
All right, cool.
So here we go.
Yep.
To happy hardcore, mate.
Are we just drinking out the bottle?
Just drink out the bottle, mate.
Oh, well, there you go, guys. That's good. You've not peed in that, have you?
No. Tastes like pee, maybe.
That's actually pretty good, man.
Be hardcore.
Aye.
My favourite.
That's it.
My favourite.
High five,
well,
man.
Listen, it's been a pleasure having you on.
Oh, thank you
You're
so much,
great
Mikey.
friend.
Oh, you
I love
too,
you.
man. Always,
all the
mate,
time
always.
in the world for you. Always love seeing you. Always have great chats. Everybody follow him. So thanks for coming on, mate.
Thank you so much, Mikey, and I look forward to being at a few gigs with you and just seeing your journey as well. Like, just a special shout out to you as well, man. Like,
thank you.
Really respect what you've done with the comedy and been to a few of your shows and funny guy. So if you can ever get to one of Mikey's shows, get there, man, because you'll piss yourself laughing.
Thank you very much.
Quite literally.
Thank you, William. So thanks everybody for watching. Get a share, get a follow, and I've got my Glasgow International Comedy Festival show coming up on the 30th of March. There's still about 15 tickets left. I want to sell them out so I can put another show on. So buy them and follow me as well. Cheers for watching. Thanks, guys. It's been a belter.
Thanks, Mikey. Cheers, man.
Put it there. There we go. Cheers.
Mikey Motion, Motion, Motion.